Okay, in this tutorial we are going to take a look at CloudWatch Events, and we're going to see how we can use CloudWatch Events to create an automated snapshot of an existing AWS EBS block store volume on a schedule. So you can use CloudWatch Events to have automated snapshots that you capture at whatever time period that you select. We're going to show how we can do this with a cron job expression. So basically we can have these snapshots be captured at a particular nightly time that you specify. So if you wanted to have these snapshots be taken at a time that is off business hours on an everyday basis or on a daily basis without having to manually do these snapshots, we can use CloudWatch Events and we can set up a cron job that will automatically do that for us on a nightly basis. And so we'll take a look at how we can do that. So the first thing we need to do is go over into the CloudWatch service, and we can get to CloudWatch from under the Management and Governance section. And as we know, CloudWatch is where we can look at all of our metrics and do all of our monitoring and our log files. But we also have a section in CloudWatch that allows us to automate certain tasks on AWS using the CloudWatch Events service. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at CloudWatch Events, and we're going to use the CloudWatch Events to set up this cron job for our EBS volume backups. So you want to just click on Events, and this will take you to the CloudWatch Events section. And this is the service that, or the part of CloudWatch that delivers that near real-time stream of system events. And you can use it to kick off different jobs. You can use it to kick off Lambda functions and a whole host of other things. But what we're going to do is just show how we can just generate a quick event and use it for doing things on an automated schedule. So to get started, we just want to go ahead and click on the blue Get Started. And what we're going to need to do is to first create a rule, and that is going to be the rule that takes the EBS snapshots on the schedule. And what we're going to use is a schedule for this rule. And so we're going to just go ahead and select Schedule for our rule. And you want to choose a fixed rate of, we're going to use a cron expression. So we can do either. We can choose a fixed rate of a certain amount of minutes. So if we wanted to do our snapshots every hour or once a day or something like that, we could use a fixed rate. But what we're going to use is a cron expression so that we can do this on a nightly basis. So we're just going to have the cron expression set up so that we can do this on a nightly basis at 11 o'clock GMT time, which correlates to like 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So basically at the end of a business day, we just want to have our nightly backups get kicked off and capture those EBS volumes. And so you have a whole list of different cron expressions that you can use. If you're familiar with using these, you can use standard cron expressions that are out there. I will also link to the Amazon page for more information on the cron expressions so that you can take a look at the format that these need to be in. But essentially, this is a standard cron job that you might be familiar with in other applications that you've used. So you want to put your cron expression in here. You can see the sample events that we're going to be doing. You can see the trigger dates that are going to take place. And once you have your cron expression in, you want to choose a target. So you're going to have to add a target. And we also need to select a function. And so we want to add a target. And we're going to select the EC2 create snapshot API call. So there's a number of different triggers and events that can be targets that you can choose from. They all have their own different features and processes. So you have to look up some of these other options separately to see what the features are. But the one we're going to look at for now is the create snapshot API call. And that is going to require us to have a volume ID. So we need to put a volume in place that we want. So we're going to need to have an AWS volume. So we have our volume ID in place here. And then you're going to need a role. CloudWatch is going to need a new role, and it's basically going to grant the target permission to access the resources on our behalf. And so we can have this role created, set it to create new, and then once we have all of our volume information in place, we can go through and we can choose configure details. And then what we want to do is give the rule a name. And then we want to give it a description. And then we can go ahead and hit create rule. And so then we'll have our rule here. And so we can begin to test our rule by making sure that our snapshots are being captured at the time that we specified in the Cron job. So I have a couple of rules here that you can see. I have the EBS nightly rule that I've created that basically is doing the same thing, capturing my snapshots at a certain point in time. If I go over to the snapshot section of the EC2 dashboard, we can see that that rule is now capturing everything on a nightly basis. So 7 o'clock, I'm on the East Coast. 7 o'clock is when this rule is kicking off and these snapshots are being captured at the same time every night based on the volume that I specified in the CloudWatch event. And so you can see the volume that this snapshot is created from. You can see when the job was kicked off. And so this gives us a good way that we can set up these on an automated fashion where we can have nightly captures of our EBS volumes. And also with the CloudWatch events, you do get some metrics based on the events that you've set up. So you can see your invocation. So you can see that my events basically are kicking off every night. I'm having an invocation every night for these, and then you can see the triggered rules that are being triggered as well. And so this gives us a really quick way, really easy way to be able to start backing up our EBS volumes on a nightly basis without having to go in and manually do this or having to use a third-party tool to do these nightly backups for us. And so there's a whole host of other things we can take a look at. We'll do some subsequent videos on CloudWatch events and some of the other triggers and things that you can do with it. But the takeaway from this video is you want to remember that you can use CloudWatch to start doing the automated backups of your EBS volumes. You can set these volumes to be backed up based on a cron job that you specify or on some kind of fixed metrics like a 5-minute or 1 hour or 1 day time period that you specify. You just really need to set up the volume that you want, set up the appropriate cron expression, and then set up the trigger and the identity and access management role that gives the necessary credentials for CloudWatch event to be able to do this for us. So once we set these up, we have a way that we can capture our nightly EBS volume snapshots.